So to balance our energies today, I thought we will strengthen our core so that the wind can't blow us around, but will also be relatively floor-based today. Maybe 1 or 2 standing movements, just simply to keep ourselves grounded on this day. So for that reason, you might want to have a bolster nearby, rolled up blanket or whatever you usually use instead if you don't have one. And it might also be good to have a block or 2. You don't have those, pile of books will do. So something to rest over, something to lean on, maybe to sit on, to put it like that. And I would ask you to start lying down when you're ready. So no rush, just finding your way down onto the floor. And if you like, you could already take your bolster or rolled up blanket or whatever that might be. And if you brought a cushion, you could also rest your head onto a cushion as you're lying back there for a moment. Doing nothing in particular as you come to lie down. And this week I've taken it back to some basics, and one of these basics is Ahimsa, or non-violence, and I will extend the theme into today's practice as well. So your focus is on non-harming. And I would ask you to apply that straight away to the position that you're in, allowing yourself to acknowledge the physical body and all the little things that you might want to change to keep your body at ease. And be that today you're not even lying on your back, you're lying on your side, because you might need to curl yourself in a bit. I will also ask you, once you are, and if you are lying comfortably on your back, to maybe place one hand down across your power center, the solar plexus area, and maybe resting the other hand onto the non-harming energy center, the heart. So if you like, you can close the eyes, so you might steady your gaze. And I invite you to connect to the sensations of your hands resting on your body. To potentially feel the rising and falling of the hands that are resting there with your breath. And if it feels good for you, bring in a gentle, full yogic breath where you can feel that the hand on the belly rises, and then the hand on the chest lifts. And then the hand on the belly falls, and then that on the chest does too. So you're creating a play between those 2 points that you're resting your hands on, and just focusing on that. Rising, rising, falling and falling. Noticing if one of those hands rises or falls more easily than the other. Still not forcing your breath, just accepting that that might be the case. Keeping your breath slow yet deep. And if you enjoy that, and only then could you edge the narrowing of the glottis and create the ujjayi sound. If you notice that's not yours today, because breathing is a little bit difficult, then let that be. From this restful place, please keep your breath flowing as you established it just then. And with the next inhalation, just removing the hand from the abdomen, opening that arm gently without too much movement, and maybe turning the head into the direction of this hand. And when you're breathing out, centering the head again and placing the hand back onto the tummy. And when you're next inhaling, move the hand away from your heart. You keep your elbow bent and you're looking just over towards that hand. And when you're exhaling, bringing this hand back to touch to the heart. We'll do that again with the hand on the belly. As you inhale, let it fall away from the body. Maybe even look into it, whether that's with eyes open or closed. And as you're breathing out, placing the hand back onto the abdomen. And as you're inhaling, then the hand moves away from the heart and you might turn your gaze. And with the exhale, bringing it back to the heart as you center again. If it's possible, just swapping the hands around. Stick to these same energy centers, the one that's powerful, the one that's kind and compassionate. Feeling back into the breath, moving between these 2 points, and of course, maybe even beyond. You acknowledge your preferences and to which hand you've placed there first and how it feels now when it's not your most comfortable choice. Acknowledging that we do have ingrained habits and patterns. When you completed your next 4 breaths, we will repeat our movement. As you inhale, remove the hand from your belly, let it fall out and maybe turn your head in that direction. And when you're breathing out, bring the hand back and center your head. On the next inhale, do the same with the hand moving away from the heart and turning the head. And on the out breath, bring the hand back, center the head. Do that in your own time once more with the hand on the belly and then once more with the hand on the heart. Connecting back to the movement of breath underneath the hands. Then keep the breath moving just as it was before, but release your hands and bring them back out into the open. If you have placed a bolster underneath you, you might want to remove that bolster. Just push it to the side, a little bit out of the way, but in reach. You could keep feet on the ground, but you can also extend the legs out. Asking you with your next inhalation to lift your right knee in, and with the exhalation, hugging the knee to the chest using your hands. Give that leg a good squeeze in towards your body. Notice how it feels with the extended leg or with the bent leg. I'm just acknowledging which one's better for you at this stage. I will ask you to then take a hold of your right ankle and bring the foot a little bit in towards you, while you might gently guide the right knee away from you. This might not go as far as your mind would like that to be, but maybe it gets you to then drop the foot towards the inner thigh and allowing the knee to fall out. If possible now, your left leg will be extended. We're placing our hands down onto the belly, flexing into the left foot if the leg is long, and inhaling through the nose while you're exhaling from your mouth, and starting to lift your upper body, looking towards the toes. And while you're inhaling, gently lie back down, breathing out of the mouth to lift. Inhaling to lie back down. Repeat that for 3 more. If you need support underneath the head, use the right hand to support you there rather than your left. Try not to pull. Your choice if you do need that support or you don't. And then once you come back up, release down. Also releasing the arms down, bringing the knee back up, and then maybe extending the leg long if you started that way. Otherwise, keep the foot on the ground. And while you're inhaling, then bringing your left knee up. And with the exhale, interlace the hands across the knee or the shin and hug the leg in. Noticing if your foot is on the ground, how this feels. If the leg is long, how does that feel? Making a choice. And then reach with your right hand for the left ankle, allowing your foot to come in a little bit further, and maybe using the left hand to guide the left knee out. Except, please, wherever you are at, whatever feels good for you, not every movement is for everyone in the practice. And if it's possible for you to place your foot against the inner thigh, keeping the right leg long now, that's fine. If the knee needs to be bent, that's okay too. If the leg is long, turning your toes upwards. And we bring our hands back to the lower abdomen, inhaling again through the nose, exhaling from the mouth as we're lifting the upper body, looking down towards the toes. Inhaling, lie back down. And the same here, you need support. Use the left hand now. So same pattern as on the other side. And we're going for 3 more. Then as you come to lie back down, lifting the knee back up as you release your hands. Stepping the right foot down there as well. And we will roll over onto the right hand side now and extending our bodies out long, creating a deep stretch as we squeeze the buttocks muscles, pushing the hips forward, huge banana shape. And then on the next exhale, just flop down onto your back, let it jiggle and wobble. And I will ask you now to just walk your feet over towards the left. Stay lying on your back though, and slide your arms over to the left as well. So we're creating a different banana shape here, trying to keep your feet touching. And you might take a hold of the right wrist and get yourself into a deeper opening into the right side of the body. Your next breath moves from the feet right up to the hands. And you might then have a bit of a sigh while you still think about the length of the right side. Release the grip on the wrists as we extend our arms back over the head and we walk our feet back into center. Now we will come straight away to the other side in this form as we walk our feet to the right, still stay lying down on your back. And then walking the hands over to the right hand side. Keeping your feet together and just moving as far as is possible for you at this moment. Maybe taking a hold of the left wrist and increasing the length in the left side of the body. And while you're breathing in, let your thoughts travel from your feet all the way up that extended side towards your hands. And still thinking about the side as you're sighing the breath out. We'll release that by bringing the arms to the center and then releasing them all together as we walk the feet back into the center and step them back onto the ground. Let's roll over onto the left-hand side. And one more big stretch into a banana on the side as we push our hips forward, squeezing the buttocks. Feet, hands moving behind us. Nice big breath. And then flopping back down onto the back. Letting your arms come out towards the sides of the body and lifting your right leg up into the air. If you can't have your left leg extended, that's totally okay. You can step the foot loosely to the ground to support you. We're going into leg swings, so while you inhale, swing the leg out to the right as far as possible, and as you exhale, swing it over to the left. So we're inhaling to the right, and we're exhaling to the left. Go for 3 more. And this movement could be completely small, or it could be as big as you can manage. And once you've completed, leave the leg right up there in the air. Bring a flexion into the ankle and take a hold behind the leg and give it a good squeeze up to the body. We'll bend the knee from here and interlace the hands now across the shin. Please make sure you're not holding onto the knee. We'll go again for 5 rounds, but this time we're pushing our shin into the hands as we're lifting up our body. So with the out breaths, push it forward, maybe lifting, maybe sitting up. And as you're inhaling, lying back down. Push the shin into the hands, maybe sitting up. On the inhale, lying back down. Breath out. 2 more. And then as you come to lie back down, take your left hand to the knee, a classic, as you bring the knee across the body. And you could use a block here to place underneath the knee while your right arm opens out. And you could, if your neck allows you, look over towards the right arm. But also keep the hand on the knee as a gentle weight to open back further into the side. Take a deep full breath. Have a long, soft breath out. then rolling again onto your back. If it's possible, sliding your right leg out long as we're lifting the left leg up. Point the foot, arms go out towards the side. If the right leg long doesn't suit, step the foot down gently just to release the stress that you might experience. And as you're inhaling, then move the leg out to the left. And when you're exhaling, swing it to the right. On the inhale, take it to the left. On the exhale, to the right. And then continue that for 3 more. You can keep your foot pointed here as you're swinging. And I entirely forgot to count. So I left that up to you whenever you're finished. And then keeping the leg in the air, bring a flexion into the ankle so the sole of the foot shines up and take a hold behind the leg, squeezing it in towards your body. We will then bend the knee and changing our grip to around the shin. Again, make sure you're not holding onto the knee here. The other leg ideally is extended. We're inhaling through the nose, we're exhaling from the mouth and pushing the chin into the hands and maybe even sitting up as you inhale, lying back down. There's 4 more to go just in case I forget to count again. It's totally fine if you stay lying down. I think this is the last one. And as you come back onto your back, let's bring the right hand to the knee. Let the left arm fall out to the side. And while you're breathing out, coming into your twist, your gaze, if the neck is happy with that, is extending to the left arm. As you roll again onto your back, you can choose just to roll over to your favorite side as we find our way. As I promised, not for too long, but up into a standing position, for which I suggest to be barefoot. So please do take your time. From lying to standing is a little bit harsh. So you might stay grounded for an extra bit and then find your way up into a standing shape. I am just intending to guide you through only 2 rounds of sun salutations. I would love you to keep them slow and very deliberate. As you align yourself at the front end of the mat, your choices are the feet at hip distance, or maybe your big toes touching, the heels a little bit apart, or if you insist, you can keep the feet touching completely. Making sure as the start here is a mountain shape that you stand solid and strong and that the arches of your feet are lifted, the pelvis in neutral, the spine as well, and the crown of the head facing up. While you are inhaling and reaching the arms up, you might envision that you're reaching for the sun. And while you're breathing out, you're softening your knees and you're bringing the hands across the heart center, thinking about the heart as you bow. On the inhale, lift your heart for a half lift. On the exhale, step your left foot back into a lunge. And you might bring your knee down to the floor while you're extending through the spine, staying on your fingertips, your choice, knee on or off the mat. We will step our right foot back. Now, either you're on your knees or you're on your feet. If you're on your feet, stretch into down dog. If you're on your knees, have your toes tucked under and do the same with your hips. Stretch them up and back as we're engaging into puppy shape. For all, let the shoulders open. There's some space there created in the upper back and around your neck. And then when you're next inhaling, round your spine, even more space there in the back. As we're rolling forward, we're finding a plank or a kneeling plank. I'd ask you to pause here, keeping that space around your upper back. Draw the lower abdomen in and down towards the heels. And when you're next exhaling, lowering onto the mat. We will take the approach of wide-armed cobra in this salute as we bring the fingers out wide onto the floor, grounding through the tops of the feet. Let's inhale, lift our heart. Pause here for a moment, as high or as low as suits your body. Opening again through the heart center. Maybe your power center is lifted away from the ground as well. And with the next exhale, then just grounding back down, even resting the forehead momentarily to the floor while you slide your hands down by the sides of your ribs. Push into the mat as you inhale, and you can tuck your toes under, lift the knees off the floor and find a down dog, or you can return to the puppy shape. Absolutely up to you. I stay in this first round with the more gentle variation. If you're in a down dog, you can stay. If you're on your knees, come back to all fours, lifting the head lightly. And we will take a breath in and extend out through the left heel. The leg is lengthening. Point the toes as you breathe out to bring the knee forward and step or help the foot to the front. Rise back up onto your fingertips, back knee on or off the mat. Nice long spine. A gentle opening through the heart here. And then with your next out breath, step the foot forward and bow back down. On the inhale, the lift of the heart and the lengthening of the spine. On the out breath, fold it forward. Now stay in the forward bend while inhaling. Engaging the lower abdomen once more on an out breath, just to curl yourself back up into standing. Reach back up for the sun as you're opening the arms and opening the gaze. And we will gather the light into our hands as we draw that down to heart center. We will pause in that slightly modified mountain shape. Feeling the same sensations are tapping back into what you can feel. The lifting of the arches, strengthen your legs, a neutral spine and pelvis, and the crown reaching up for the light. Your gaze is steady or your eyes are closed. Maybe you can even feel the beating of your heart. Go for our second round. While you take a breath in, lifting back up, opening the hands to catch the light of the sun. And as you breathe out, soften your knees, bring your hands together all the way down past your heart space towards the floor. Lifting and lengthening through the spine for a half lift, inhaling. And when you're exhaling now, stepping your right foot back, knee on or off the mat as you lengthen through the spine. Your heart lifted and opening slightly towards the front. And then as you plant your hands down, you can come back to the puppy shape or into downward dog. Doesn't have to be the same as in the first round from here. As we find that openness around our shoulders and neck, we're grounding down through the hands, either the knees or the feet. And then with the next inhalation, we're rounding our spine forward again, finding a plank or a kneeling plank. Engage your lower abdomen again. Think about that, moving down and back to the tailbone. And then with knees on or off the mat, on the elbows, lower back down onto the floor. We're returning to the wide-armed cobra, so fingertips wider than the mat, tops of the feet in the floor as we inhale, waving back up, rise up, soften a little bit through the shoulders. Then we will come into a striking cobra as you draw your right shoulder down towards the floor and looking over towards your left elbow. With the inhale, wave back up. And now the left shoulder moves down while you're looking towards the right elbow. On the inhale, lift back up, repeat once more to each side. If it suits, otherwise you might want to take a rest to find a kinder, more gentle approach to the twist. So inhale in the center, and on the exhale, twisting. Lift yourself to the center once more, once completed. And then release down onto the mat, even planting your hands down, resting your favorite ear to the floor. Allowing yourself to feel. Turning your head towards the other side. Maybe you figure out right now why you always turn it to the favorite side. As you notice that there could be different sensations here. As you center the head again, slide the hands down by the sides of your ribs. Push yourself up and either into puppy or straight into a downward facing dog, your choice. The aim is to have a neutral spine, and if your knees are off the ground, you might want to have a soft bend in the knees. Now, if you're on your knees, rise up to all fours, and we'll all lift the right leg up on the inhale. Heel is leading back, so hips stay aligned. Then point the foot, and as you're breathing out, draw the knee in. And then help or land the foot forward. Again, come up onto the fingertips. Back knee can be on or off the mat. Spine long, heart lifting. And when you're breathing out, back into Uttanasana, your forward fold. Hands are sliding up, half lift, lifting, lengthening. And then folding back down, staying in the forward fold for the in-breath, engaging your lower abdomen as you're exhaling to slowly curl back up into standing, lifting the arms up as you try to hold the sun and gather the light as you bring that down into your heart space and pausing here again. Your gaze could be forward, you could close the eyes, connecting with the heart space, feeling the warmth, allowing yourself to breathe, feeling back into the groundedness of the feet, engagement into the buttocks muscles. A lift of the crown of the head. Now we will take a tree shape. so we can keep that connection that we might have established already. I'll ask you to lean towards your left foot and bring the right foot into a tree form. This tree form could be relatively simple, with the heel resting on the ankle or across the foot. You can keep your foot resting below your knee, or you could help your foot up to the inner thigh and creating a pressure of the thigh into the foot and the foot into the thigh to keep it in place. Opening your arms again, as if you could hold the sun over your head, keeping your shoulders and elbows a little bit soft, more like a huge ball that you're holding. Keep your fingers open, maybe your gaze is straight ahead. Inviting in the colors, green, yellow, just like we have a lot in spring. Even when I look out the window here, everything's green or yellow. Let us lift the knee back up, the arms, maybe the palms are touching together, landing the foot and drawing your hands back down to your heart center. Notice that urge that we often have to do things when we come back to stand. And that could just simply be that you're not feeling very balanced. So the question there is, when are we actually balanced? And when is it that we're forcing ourselves somewhere that we aren't? Is that force, violence already harming ourselves? If we just accept it where we are right now, let's explore how it then feels to do the other side. Lifting through the left foot and finding its place again. Wherever you choose to place this foot, if you help it up to the inner thigh, create the pressure again between the leg and the foot. As you might have found balance, let's open again, as if you're holding a huge yellow ball over your head like the sun. And as it shines down, it's creating all of these beautiful new greens that are shooting up outside at the moment. Combine these two colors in your mind. Invite a little bit more of those with a steady, open gaze, still strongly connected to the ground. Let's lift the knee back up, touching maybe the hands together over the head. As you land your foot, draw all this energy back into your heart center and pause again. Soften through the shoulders. Notice how you're feeling now. Maybe notice if there is balance restored. If you still feel urges to move and adjust. And all of that is perfectly fine as long as you know and can make your choice. You might be able to move away from the harming of things having to be a certain way and forcing yourself in that direction. As you work more with the acceptance as things are right now. Let us soften the knees from here. Tuck the chin in as you bow your head to the heart. and begin to roll down. As you release your hands towards the floor, bringing yourself down onto your knees, and from your knees to sit on the ground, extending your legs out in front. If you would like to sit on a bolster or would like to use the bolster potentially underneath your knees, that's another good thing that you might want to do. If you feel perfectly comfortable sitting on the floor, shuffle out your sit bones. Keeping your feet forward, bringing your hands down by the sides onto the bolster if you're sitting on one. And if you've got nothing under your knees, bend them a little. Take a breath in. As you open your heart, bring your shoulders back, shoulder blades together. And as you're breathing out, bending forward from the hips, and let your hands come forward too. Just let them rest on either side of your legs for now, keeping your toes facing upwards. You might take a look at the toes. The spine could still be long here. If this is too much, now is a good chance to pop something under the knees or just bend them a little bit more. And then when you're next exhaling, just surrendering the body forward. And be mindful that maybe the straight spine served you better than the rounded one. Or it's the other way around, and you acknowledge now that the roundedness is just what you need, maybe to extend all the way across those energy centers we've been focusing on now on the back of the body. Allowing yourself another 3 deep breaths in and long exhalations, even more important in this shape. And gently finding your way back into a seated form. Now we will practice Surya Vedana Pranayam. For the sun breath, I will ask you to come to sit upright. Now, I've come onto my bolster because that seems to be a very easy position for me right now. If you want to have your legs in front or sit in an easy pose or just sit on the heels, that's fine. Everything is okay. Even a chair would be good as we're lengthening ourselves. Now we're using the same hand position usually as we do with alternate nostril breathing. So you could have your index middle finger resting over the third eye point, or folding them into the palm of the hand, as well as the little finger. However, we will start to close our left nostril now. You can also place the other hand underneath the elbow to support yourself. But more important is that you're staying upright. So your in-breath will flow through the right nostril to begin with. You're closing it and you're opening the left, exhaling left. You're closing left and inhaling right. Exhaling left. Inhaling right. Exhaling left. So while we're swapping the closed nostril or the open one, we're always inhaling right and left the exhale. Stay with the in-breath through the right and the exhalation through the left for a few more rounds. Remind yourself of an upright seat, and if ever this isn't working for you, you will visualize in breath right and out breath left. Allowing another 3 breaths like this. And whenever you've completed your rounds, just rest the hands down, keep your gaze internal, whether that's eyes open or closed, no problem. Let your eyes blink open. We'll go back to the beginning in some way. If you don't have a bolster, please roll up a few cushions or a blanket. As we come to lie down over the side, we will begin with the bolster resting over the bolster with the left side of the hip. So we're doing the one that encourages the heartbeat more first, so we can come to rest afterwards. You can have a cushion underneath the head here. And as you rest over the bolster, and after that extension over the right side of the body now. So it's up to you how strong you would like this to be. You can just stay here, keeping your knees bent, and you might already feel a bit of opening coming through at least the side of the hip. Very important to open into that side for the health of our backs as well, as we're extending the legs out. If that is your option, you might feel the sensation becoming deeper or going further. And if you still want more, you could reach your right arm over the head. And then just allowing yourself to be here for a while. Feeling length and opening while you're trying to surrender the body. You can always change the position if it no longer serves you. But otherwise, you could close the eyes or steady your gaze. Maybe reconnect to the inner strength, to the kindness of the heart. Without too much distraction, you might just bring your arm back, and you could roll over all the way so that the right side of the hip then rests on the bolster. You might bring your cushion underneath the head, just use your arm. And you would start again with the knees bent, just to explore where's this going for you and what effect does the same shape have on the other side, knowing that it doesn't have to look the same, as those sides are already very different. Acknowledging what you're feeling here. From there, you could choose to let your legs extend. And maybe the extension over the side of the body becomes longer, further. And if you still want more, your left arm could extend over the head. Doesn't mean it has to be active and outstretched, it could just drop there. As you find your spot in this stretch or lengthening, try and relax into it. Knowing that you have the power over your body as well as over your mind and thoughts, and that you can always choose. Making these choices from the heart, though. After this day, let's slide the left hand back in if you've chosen to extend your arm, and just rolling down onto your back with the hips still resting on the bolster. Lift them up momentarily and push the bolster or your cushioning down underneath the knees. This might be a good time to open the arms again, to allow yourself to settle into something like Shavasana. And you might do so by just turning the head a few times from side to side, as the previous shape might not have served your neck too well. See if you can bring this part of your body back to ease. Keep the head grounded. You're just rolling it from side to side. When you feel your neck is at ease, the body can actually relax. You can choose today, arms open, as there's plenty of attention already in these two energy centers. But if you feel today you really need that touch, then please place the hands back onto solar plexus and heart. To settle into stillness, though, if it is available to you. Noticing how everything begins to slow. The slowing of the breath, especially if your hands are resting on the body, you can feel that there's less movement. Settling into the power we have to make our own choices. The kindness and loving connection we can have and act from our heart. And if this is what it is about for you, staying exactly there. Otherwise, you might choose to contemplate a few further thoughts on non-violence, Ahimsa. To understand how non-violence can manifest in our lives each day, we might learn first how subtle daily actions and responses contain elements of violence. This often happens against ourselves. When our thoughts contain negative responses like disappointment, resentment, or guilt, when we feel shame, they're subtly creating violence. If you can't forgive someone for something they've done against you, or if you can't forgive yourself for something you've done, this is an act of violence because it pushes love away. Expecting too much of yourself and putting all responsibility in our own hands is a type of violence too. As is expecting that the world will run according to our design. Being violent towards yourself and the world at large with these kinds of mindsets. Acting out of our fears is a form of violence to the self. We inflict violence on others daily in subtle ways, but this is simply an outward expression of the conflict that goes on inside of everyone. For instance, when we resent others, it creates a negative atmosphere. Finding inner peace through Ahimsa will in turn allow us to come to peace in interactions with others. This may come as a surprise if you consider yourself a non-violent person. Consider how violence can function in the subtlest of ways, disguising itself well. It manifests in words, actions, and even inner thoughts. Instead, embrace and act from your inner truth. Truth and non-violence are a pair. Spend a moment here, extending, accepting loving thoughts to yourself. Maybe these words brought to mind interactions with others. Extend acceptance, kind thoughts to others, whether you know them or you don't. You can always come back to the self if it's taken too far. You might choose to extend acceptance and kindness to all those involved in everything around you at the moment. Ahimsa, as part of your yoga practice, can easily move into all aspects of your life. Yoga creates a peaceful reconciliation with your true nature. Non-violence comes from love of the true self, from true self-acceptance. This ahimsa comes from deep in the heart. Connecting back into your physical body as it is resting right now. Maybe keep that sense of warmth and loving embrace that you might have cultivated. As you begin to deepen your breaths and move your body gently. Finding your way back into a seated form. And as we inhale, open your arms up. Maybe smile at the sun that you could be holding here. And draw this energy into the palms of your hands and back down towards your heart center. Keeping a lift of the heart while you gently bow the head. You can close the eyes again if that works for you. Connecting to your inner truth and loving kindness, which we will extend to each other. Namaste.